Hi guys, this is Janine from Choosy Choose. One of my very favorite hobbies is to garden. I experimented in my parents' backyard a couple years back with a tomato garden, but I didn't live with my parents, so it was really hard to maintain it and keep up with it and really help it to thrive. So now I live in New York City, confined to an apartment. Again, I don't have the space or even a terrace for a garden, but I do love the idea of an herb garden. I love to cook and I love to garden, and so an herb garden will also give me some fresh herbs to cook with. I also have a dehydrator, so my plan is to also dehydrate some of these herbs and make spices. So stay tuned for that video. But for today, I'm just going to show you how to make some kind of cute and different garden labels. So typical garden plants come with a label that looks something like this. It's paper, it says what it is, it has a little picture of it, and it does the trick. But I'm going to be displaying all of my plants in something called a foodie, which is a vertical garden. So I want them to look a little bit more consistent and cute. And I also wanted a little Janine's Garden label. So I took to Etsy and I tried to find some things. Some of the things are just outlandishly pricey for things that I know can be made at home. So I went to Michael's yesterday and sort of looked for inspiration. I didn't really have any idea what I would come up with. No real plan of attack. I went into the wood section, I went into the garden section, and I really still didn't find anything. So before leaving empty-handed, which I was about to do, I actually found this cute little picket fence, and I was like, okay, this is too cute not to buy, so I put it in my cart and hoped to find something that could work with it. I then found these little wooden plaques here, so they're just basic wood. They're actually like a sand color, unlike the white here. So I figured that if I can paint this white and I can somehow attach it on here, that I'd have a little label for Janine's Garden. So I went ahead and I bought some outdoor paint. It's called patio paint. It was like $3 or so. I got white just to match my fence. And then I went ahead and got a little paintbrush, which I already actually started using. It was not dirty when I bought it. And I got some stamps so that I can actually stamp some of the letters on it. My handwriting is not particularly the best, not what I would want for a garden sign, but the stamps I thought could be really cute and almost vintage, shabby chic way of writing the letters. And then, since I couldn't choose one color, I got this little color pack. This was about actually $7, which I do think is somewhat pricey, but I figured to have all the different colors that maybe it's worth the investment. Yes, I will call it an investment. So that is what I decided for Janine's Garden sign, but that didn't solve the solution of my little plant labels. So I kept looking, and I thought of the idea of chalkboard paint. I love chalkboard as labels in the kitchen and around the house, but for a garden, I have about 22 of these little plants going into my vertical garden. So if one of the chalkboard labels got smeared, I would be left not knowing or possibly confusing two plants. So I thought something a little more permanent would be best, especially too, as cute as they are, outdoors in the rain and the snow, a chalkboard label definitely would not stay. So I, again, was about to leave without anything and go to make my purchase on Etsy for these little wooden sticks that I also probably could have made myself, literally from a tree. So cute, though. And I found some good old popsicle sticks, and I said, okay, so I'm already buying the white paint. I already have stamps, popsicle sticks. This is something that can easily stick into the soil, and I can just vertically write down with my stamp whatever the stamp is. So in my cart they went, and I came back to my apartment, and I painted some of the sticks with the white paint that I got. So what I did was I took a little piece of Scotch tape and I put it on the end just to keep a straight line, nothing too fancy, and I just painted it white with my same patio outdoor paint, and I let it dry. And actually, it dried super quickly. It probably only took about 10 minutes or so. And so then I started stamping, And I also experimented with what to do with the stamps and some finishes that you can have for your sticks. So again, I went with just pure basic white, but I will say, almost in error, I actually stumbled upon a really cute way to make it look a little more distressed without actually distressing it. I laid it down on my magazine, Us Weekly, which would also probably work even better with a newspaper. And laying it down, the wet paint actually picked up some of the letters and from the magazine, and I think that adds like a really cute, homemade, cool touch to it. I wound up not going with this for my own garden purposes, just because I'm using green and you can't really see the green letters on top of the white background letters. I'm sorry, the black background letters, so I'm going with strictly white. But this is a really cute idea, and I actually really love that I kind of just stumbled upon this by accident. Another idea, if you don't want just one color for your garden labels, but you want different colors, without spending a small fortune in buying different colored bottles of paint, is to use your ink pad and put these variations of colors to good use. After all, we did call this an investment, a $7 investment, right? So let's use it. So if you take a paper towel and moisten it a little bit, dab it into whichever color you choose that's on your ink palette, and then run it along the white painted popsicle stick, you wind up distressing the popsicle stick into a really pretty color. And I did this with pink. Took the white painted popsicle stick, ran pink over it, and kind of distressed it into this really light pink. And I think this is even better than I bought another bottle of paints. Other than saving money by not having to buy a different color, it just created a really light, delicate color instead of just solid pink. So that's my personal preference. As you can tell, I love distressed items, so this sort of distresses the white without making it solid. So anyway, just another idea to save some bucks and also get creative with the colors on your popsicle sticks. So again, I'm going with just solid. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do to make my own garden labels for my herb garden. So just to recap, some items you'll need to create yours are a white picket fence. If you can't find one, don't worry, you can create your own. Just take your handy dandy popsicle sticks, paint them white, and use carpenter's glue to just make your own little at-home white picket fence. So once you do have your fence, you'll also need a wooden palette to write the name of your garden. Don't worry about the color, you can always paint it to match the fence. So then you'll need some paint to do that, a paintbrush to paint it with, some stamps. If you prefer, you can use markers. Total matter of preference. I actually really like the idea of a stamp. And you'll need an ink pad to push your stamps into. Another thing you don't necessarily need but could use if you want to jazz it up a bit are some stickers. I found these really cute lavender stickers. I'm just going to affix these onto my fence just for some extra color. My herb garden is all green, so this is just a nice touch of color. And you'll also need some carpenter's glue. You can also use crazy glue, gorilla glue, double-sided tape. I like the idea of carpenter's glue. You'll need some scotch tape. Not necessary, but I think that it helps to create a nice little edge. And that's pretty much all you'll need. So hope you have some fun and stay tuned. So important to note, when you stamp your letter into your ink pad, it's going to get ink on top of the surface that's not just the letter, which, trial and error, I learned actually doesn't look too neat on the finished product. So as you can see, I sort of experimented at first. You can see the squares here, which is kind of a cute look, and it definitely works, but I just think I want to see more of just the letters. So there's definitely a delicate art in placing the stamp onto the wood to just get the letter and to not get that square. So I'm going to show you now. I'm making rosemary. So I'm just going to take my R, dab it into the green, and as you can see, again, it gets everything else on the stamp surface, not just the R. So when I paint it onto the popsicle stick, I'm going to just carefully place it so that I'm not applying pressure onto the full square here and just the R. So it's just going to be a really light tap. And I came up with, as you can see, just the R. So it's important to make sure, rosemary is a pretty long word. You kind of want to have some idea of space as you're stamping. I don't think everything has to be just in line. I kind of like when things are, maybe not so symmetrical and maybe a little bit jagged. So, but it's just very careful to learn from my mistake that actually you need to really press, make a cognizant effort not to press too hard and just press the one little letter that you're trying to achieve. So I just finished writing out my first garden label. I wrote out rosemary. Here it is. It came out just as cute as I thought it would. As you can see, the letters are not 100% in line, which is fine. I think it's a total matter of preference. I actually prefer asymmetry and things that don't exactly line up. I also think for a garden it's just extra natural and cool. But again, it's totally achievable if you do want them to line up. Similarly, if you want the square of the stamp, it's, apply full pressure. If you want a little bit of a cleaner look where you just see the letters, be careful not to apply too much pressure and just get the letter. Total matter of preference. This happens to be my matter of preference. I also went with a straight line here, and I achieved this using the Scotch tape, which, if you recall, I said was sort of an optional ingredient to this whole project. If you do choose to have straight lines on your stick the way that I do, just take your Scotch tape, rip off a small piece before you paint your popsicle stick white, and put it right there on the bottom. I use just the amount that I need to, number one, hold the popsicle while I'm painting it, and number two, the amount that I think would stick into the soil, which is maybe a half an inch to an inch. Really not that much. Also, matter of preference, if you want, you can just paint the entire stick the color and not leave any of it unfinished. I'm pretty practical, and I think that it's going in soil, so why paint it? But that's just me. So you can achieve the straight look, again, by just putting a piece of Scotch tape, or if you prefer not such a straight look, which is also kind of cool because, again, it's natural, it's going in soil, what's the big deal? Just freehand it, don't put the Scotch tape, and it kind of winds up being a little bit of that, again, distressed, rustic, natural look. Total matter of preference. You can have so much fun with this. I'm going to go ahead and continue. I've made my basil stamp, I've got my rosemary stamp. I'm going to create the other 22 herbs that I have and just have fun with it. Mix it up, do different colors, different fonts of stamps. It doesn't have to be 100% aligned. It's a total matter of whatever you like for your garden. So I'm going to go and create the rest of my popsicle sticks, and I'm also going to go and fix my Janine's Garden label and hopefully affix it to my picket fence. So I'll be right back. So I'm ready to affix my label onto my white picket fence. I just wanted to show you the finished product of my label before I go ahead and put it onto the fence. I also want to show you how to affix it to the fence. So I went with just Janine's Herb Garden, and I made herb a little bit smaller font than the rest of the letters. So here's the H for the smaller font that I used, and here's the H for the larger font. So I like to mix it up. Again, up to you. Have fun with it. So this is the one that I'm going to use, my finished product, and this is my original. As you can see, I sort of learned the difference when applying pressure and how you get the squares versus don't get the squares. I also decided that this was just a little too much color, and I wanted the only color to be the word herb with my finished product. So now to put it onto the fence, just take your fence, remove any miscellaneous stickers that might have come on it, and I'm going to unscrew the top of the carpenter's glue just because I don't want any damage here, and too much glue is never a good thing. I'm going to use one of my popsicle sticks once again as a tool here. I'm just going to take a dab of it. I mean, really not too much at all because it is sort of a thin little fence. And I'm actually going to put it on to each of the four corners of my my label. Okay, now this is some strong stuff. and you know, a little bit goes a long way. So we don't want too much of it because then it'll pop off the fence, and the fence will get ruined. So just be careful with it. My garden sign is ready and dried, and I'm really excited to show you the finished product. To add a little bit of extra touch and color to it, I just took these stickers that I found, again from Michaels. These are lavender, or so I think, and I put 2 of them onto my label just to decorate it a bit more. And so here's the finished product. I am obsessed with it, and I can't wait to add this to my garden. So this is the title of my garden, Janine's Herb Garden, and then I will have my individual labels with each of the different herbs. So everything is consistent and matches and complements each other, and I'm really excited about this project. I hope you are too. Please write or comment below any of the outcomes of yours that you want to share with me, and stay tuned for some more projects with Janine.